Alright, sorry about that. My phone overheated again. Hopefully it will last the rest of the repair. But anyways, let's see here. So as I was saying, you heat that up, and then you have to kind of pull this connector out. I probably have to zoom in more so you can kind of see. It's a little tricky. It's harder to see because it's black on black, so. But get the needle under there, and then you kind of pull. Make sure you're not just pulling the cable. There's a little sensor underneath it that you need to get out, okay? So I'm using my curved needle. You can just use a regular needle. Sorry, it's going out of view. But just lift it out just like this, okay? And hopefully you can see the little, hopefully you can see the little sensor under there. Sorry, it's hard to keep it in frame. But there's an adhesive holding that as well. So you kind of need to also pry closer to the bottom or apply more heat to completely remove it. Sorry, this is really hard to keep in frame with it zoomed so much. Okay, so the adhesive is peeling away. If you get enough heat, then it should come out pretty easily. All right, so I'm gonna have to use a little more heat. I'm gonna pause it and then I'll come back after it's heated. All right, so now it's pretty hot to the touch. If you leave your hand there, it will like burn you. Okay, so now, sorry, the heater's blowing cold air through it to kind of cool it back down. So now what you want to do, let's see if I got this in camera. Okay, turn it this way. So the easiest way is you go from where these gold contacts for the speaker are, and you push the needle. Usually you can get like a little plastic tool to do this. So if you have that, you can use that. Okay. But those always break, so I use this. Okay. So you kind of go underneath. And what you can do, actually, you can lift this whole speaker grill assembly up. Okay, so where this metal piece is, let's see if I can show this. It's kind of hard to do it with the weird angles that I have to do it to show it on camera. But basically get underneath this metal piece. Okay, and then you should be able to pull up this piece. Usually I don't do it, but this is the easier way, so you're less risk to damage anything else. Okay, if you can, pull up this piece just like this. So here you can see this whole piece is coming up. All right, and then you kind of want to pull the metal pins up with it. Be very gentle and go slow because you don't want to tear anything. Okay, so now that you got that, you want to lift the sensors up as well. Make sure that you're not gonna tear anything out. I'll show you how the part looks after I get it out so you can see why you kind of have to peel it out so much like this. Okay, and then you kind of just keep prying along the whole thing. And then if you can get down here, oops, it's going off camera. If you can get down here behind this area, you want to peel that as well. So this part is the most difficult, risky part. If you damage this, then your camera and your speaker and stuff's not going to work, so keep that in mind. Okay, then there's also a sensor underneath this part as well. Okay, so you do have to lift this one out. Okay, there you go. And now let's peel this whole connector out, just like that. Okay, so a lot of times, as you can see, these gold pins are exposed. There's this little black plastic piece that you have to peel off and then stick it back onto those gold pins. Okay, so I'm just going to peel that piece off. Okay, and then you want to just stick it back on top of there. Okay, I'm not sure why they have this part exposed. Okay, so actually we have to also remove this piece that we pulled out, which is that speaker grill. Okay, be careful not to flex this too much. So just pull it separate. Okay. Sorry, it's difficult to keep this in camera view while I'm doing this. Okay, so just like that, separate it. There you go. So you don't need this part because the other screen will come with it, but if the other screen doesn't come with it, you can transfer this over as well, and you don't actually need to separate the pieces if that's the case. All right, so again, I need to get this black plastic piece, the tape, and then just cover the gold pins. You don't want those gold pins exposed or it can short something out up there. Okay, so there we go. Put that back. So hopefully this video will help people, or at least it'll help them see how kind of tricky it is. All right, so now I'm going to heat up the bottom part with the home button and the fingerprint sensor. So I'm going to pause the video again and then I'll be back after it's hot. All right, so I'm back. So I'm going to peel off the home button now. Okay, so it goes underneath. Oops, this is difficult to show because it's in the center of my desk. So this part is part of the home button, so we have to get underneath that piece. Okay, hopefully I can show this. Get the needle under there. It's difficult to show this on camera. Let me get this connector out of the way. Sorry. Okay, so I'm getting this part of the connector out of the way because that's part of the screen. All right, so again, we need to get underneath this component. So if you can, usually what you do is you get the needle underneath where it folds, but if you can't, you can go from one of the sides and just make sure you're not damaging that connector, okay? So since I have a needle, it's nice and pointy. It can go underneath even on the sides here. Okay, so once you get the thing underneath, you can kind of just push it along. Okay, you just want to get all the adhesive lifted off. And the home button actually goes through the front. Okay, once you got that, as you can see, the home button falls through the front like that, and it comes out like this. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going to show you all the components here, all the screws, and then I'm going to go ahead and start putting the new screen. I'm going to attempt to put the replacement adhesive, but it almost always fails, so I'll show you why. The adhesive is kind of too thin. Okay, so let me show you the screws. So here's how I put the screws on the layout. Okay, so you got the two bottom screws here. You got this cover for the connectors, for the screen connectors. Why is it focusing weird? Turn that off. There we go. Then you got the home button here. These are the home button cover screws. You got this one cross screw. You got these for the sensors up there, the plate and the two screws. Then you got these 5 screws for this metal plate on the sides. And then you got the 5 screws here for this upper plate with the speakers and all the sensors. Okay, so those are all the screws. So now we're going to go back to reassembling the thing.